We have with us Anton Covino, but I'm saying that correctly, from
Yeah,
Southern Australia, from Shark
spot on.
Watch. Is that correct?
Yeah, spot on. 100%. You've done a great job.
Now, I'm so impressed with you. You're such a young man to have done so much. And you started even younger with Shark Watch. So for people who don't know, can you just tell me a little bit about how this came to fruition, how you got involved, and did it start as a passion project? Did you know it would get so worldwide and huge?
Yeah, so 6 years ago, back in 2014, I was finishing up high school. I was in year 12. And at the time, I was struggling with my grades. I didn't really have a sense of direction. And so when the research project came around for people who live in South Australia, they'll be quite familiar with the SACE research project. I actually thought it was a perfect opportunity for me to start an assignment on something that I'm actually passionate about regarding the water and regarding sharks as well. So with my upbringing, I was brought up on the water. I had an attachment to the water from such a young age, and it's one of the places that I was always drawn to. So the beach for me was a place of peace, meditation, and also good times. Many memories were created there. And I was always intrigued by the deep water and its ecosystems. Here in South Australia, we have some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, with some of the most cleanest waters as well, and such a vibrant marine ecosystem. I guess that's complemented by the abundance or the high abundance of white sharks, which inhabit South Australian waters. And so I was always held back from exploring the deeper waters and immersing myself in its ecosystems because of the high presence of white sharks. And obviously the media has always been such a negative influence on the overall perception of white sharks in South Australia. So I guess as I matured, grew a bit older, and a few years passed on, I definitely wanted to start reporting on sharks and researching more about them, which led me to report on them. So the more I grew older, the more intrigued I became about white sharks and just sharks in general. And so the more research I've done, the more I found that statistically my chances were far more greater of actually drowning rather than being attacked by a shark, even though it is everyone's worst nightmare to be in that situation. Um, so I guess that one fear holding me back all those years, I felt that I'd been almost, I guess, cheated, if you like, or misdirected by the media. So I thought it was important to start a project, collaborating with the coinciding with the research project rather, where I was actually trying to find a way we can actually. So the question of the research project that I actually, one second, just trying to gain my thoughts. So the research project, it revolves around a question, and we actually have to answer that question in this huge assignment that is a portfolio. And my question was, are there other ways of preventing shark attacks rather than shark culling, which at the time in Western Australia had kicked up a huge debate due to a number of shark attacks that had occurred in the region, and the government's choice to make the public, I guess, feel safer was to actually set out drum lines and capture and kill sharks, which has no scientific evidence. And for anyone who has some sort of educational background or just logical sense of the ocean knows that isn't the way to go about things. It's not going to solve the problem at all, given the fact that sharks are wild animals, and it completely goes against um, any sort of conservative effort. And it's definitely not the right way to go about it, considering it's not our environment. So I thought creating Shark Watch is an outlet of information where boaters can report shark sightings, and when the shark sightings are broadcast on Shark Watch, it actually gives beachgoers an opportunity to deviate away from the danger and respect the shark in its own environment. Shark Watch runs off a long time motto, and that motto is alert, act, respect, and it basically means alert the authorities, alert the police if a shark is sighted close to shore, and also let Shark Watch know by alerting my service. Um, and then that gives, once the report is out on the social media channels, it gives the opportunity for beachgoers to act and stay away from the sharks and respect the shark in its own environment. I think it's so important that we give respect to these apex predators that have given so much to our marine ecosystem. And
Well,
there's
it's
still,
so huge. And I think
yeah,
people don't realize, even I have friends and I love sharks. I love to swim with them and to photograph them, but you have to realize you're going into their house, you know? And it's one thing to love sharks, but it's another thing to show them like puppy dogs. And it's like they are a huge apex predator, and if you're in the water with them, you need to have a level of respect that this is their home, and you're the visitor. It's so important. And I think a lot of people don't even know about the culling that you were talking about. And I have a lot of friends that have been huge ocean people and had a huge impact on conservation in the ocean world, but they were fearful to get in the ocean at first because of what you said. You watch the news. We all do. We watch movies. You just get out there and you see the sharks and you think, oh, they're horrible, they're scary, they're monsters. And so that fear, like anything, builds up in our heads, almost like a fantasy or something that we don't even really know that much about. I know my girlfriends always say that work with sharks, you are more likely to get killed. Obviously, like you said, drowning. They tell me the funniest things, by being bitten by a dog, being killed by a toilet. I don't even know how you're killed by a toilet or a vending machine. There are more vending machine attacks every year than shark attacks. So I think it is something that the fear has to be put in perspective, and you have to really think, am I holding myself back with the fear? Is this fear holding me back from something that could make a positive impact on myself or the world, or just my enrichment and enjoyment of life?
so long term, ultimately, I would like to, because I'm specializing in entrepreneurship and innovation, it's to potentially create something in beach safety, and that missing something is what I'm trying to plan for, coinciding with my degree, and that is an innovative beach safety inventory, if you like, that's going to change the way beachgoers use the water and give all water users alike just a greater peace of mind, more confidence, and that confidence is what's needed to, I believe, prevent more beach coastal related deaths on the water um, than if it wasn't there. So for me, it's also potentially going down a pathway of ecotourism where um, I actually take people out on the water and yeah, just whether it's by kayak expeditions, because that's something I love doing. It's getting out in the water and kayaking. So pretty much long term for me, business wise, it's to actually collaborate my degree with what I love doing, and that's to work in an industry and work a job that I love doing, and that I don't view as work or as a chore from day to day life. So for me, work long term isn't going to be a liability, and the degree that I graduate from is going to be something that's going to be put forward and actually change beach safety in its entirety. that's definitely a road I'd like to go down. And actually, it gives me the opportunity, probably more so, to collaborate with resources such as, for example, Surf Lifesaving, who have the equipment and who have the funding to specialize in that sector. And I have a huge amount of respect for that organization, and I would love to partner with them and 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 use Sharkwatch to benefit their long-term core objectives in beach safety.
Well,
Does
I
that
think
answer?
that that's going to be an incredible goal. I think that's going to be something that'll be so neat for everyone to see where this goes and kind of what comes from it. I had such a huge response when we said we were doing this interview from people commenting and saying, either they love your organization, or people actually in Australia that were like, I use them. I was going to go to the beach, and then my friend was at the beach and they showed me on Shark Watch. And so it's like, really everyone had kind of a story about your organization, so it has to be kind of incredible. Are there any, I know some you can't share, particularly kind of touched you that people reached out throughout the years?
Absolutely. There's been so many. There's been countless stories. And can I just say, I mean, I'm really just humbled. I'm humbled by the response I've received from the South Australian community in particular, because without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. I owe so much respect to them, and I appreciate all of the feedback I get, whether it's negative criticism that actually allows me to work on my organization a lot better, or the most positive feedback I get, which makes me just um, so ecstatic, to be running such an organization itself. I owe it to all the followers from even around Australia and around the world. In the US alone, there's about 5,000 people who follow Sharkwatch in the US, and also there's quite a few thousand in Europe who also follow Sharkwatch. So I think if it says something, it means that we're also passionate about sharks. To answer your question though, there are many stories that have stuck out in my mind, and everyone who's contributed to Sharkwatch over the years, I've remembered their individual story and what they brought to my organisation. Probably the most significant of experiences I've received um, running Sharkwatch occurred back in October of 2017, and that was when there was a 15-year-old girl who was flunked from her kayak by a 4.5 meter white shark off Normanville. Earlier that day at 8 o'clock in the morning, I received a Facebook message from a boater who was just a few kilometers down the coast. And at the time, he actually reported on a 4.5 meter great white, which was circling his boat. And he actually told me at the time that the shark was quite close to shore and it was heading in the direction of Normanville. So I wasn't able to actually get back in touch with him until 2 o'clock that afternoon, because I have a process of how to actually confirm shark sightings, and part of that process is to give the eyewitnesses a call. So I wasn't able to get back in touch with him until 2 o'clock in the afternoon when he responded. And at that time, we confirmed that it was a 4.5 meter great white. It was close to shore, and there were kayakers in the distance. But I believe that it was actually another kayaker at the time, because it was quite early in the morning, and there's a lot of people who frequent the water in the area. Such a beautiful part of South Australia. And so simultaneously, after we confirmed things, I had a news reporter actually messaged the Facebook page, and she said, "Did you hear about the shark attack at Normanville?" And at the time, I was in awe. I honestly thought that someone had died, because the way that the journalist had contacted me was, I guess, the way she portrayed the incident was definitely on the lines of a shark attack, and with a great white of 4.5 meters in length, that's going to inflict some serious damage, even if it's just being curious. So when I received the details that a girl had been flung from the kayak, and she was okay. That was a huge relief for me, firstly, to hear that her welfare was like was in good hands, was in, she was all right. But secondly, to later have found out that that family in particular actually followed Sharkwatch, that meant so much to me, because it shows a responsibility that's being placed on my shoulders to run this service efficiently. So, I guess that was really that was a moment that I knew I had to take my organisation seriously, and it really is potentially making a difference.
Well, I don't think potentially, because so many people, I'm telling you, so many were like, not just congratulations. They were like, my friend was there, my friend was on Shark Watch, and they were, it's a whole different generation now. Kids are, and people are attached to their phones, which can be good and bad, but good in the sense right away they service on the water, which is so incredible. So I think what you're doing is huge. I can't wait to see in the future as far as taking people on the water. I don't know if you're going to start taking people that are fearful of the water out kayaking. That sounds incredible. It sounds like it could be really transformative. But I also just think what you're doing as far as education, sharks are not, the killing monsters they're made out to be. And I've also heard so many news reports, or even, there was a guy fishing and a shark accidentally caught his fish. And so the guy was actually had hooked the shark. And so the shark was just trying to get away from him. And then, in the news, it was like, shark attack. The shark attacked his boat. And I hooked the shark, and I was trying to like get the hook off and stuff. And so, like to kind of bring it down to, and I understand that sells. I do. I get that, things that are so kind of dramatic sell, but I definitely think what you're doing as far as education for people is huge. And I think what you said, even though you're in South Australia, in Europe, you're getting people in the States checking your organization. It says they want to help, not just that they love the ocean, they want to get involved with sharks, but it shows the support that you're getting.
Absolutely, it's so funny that you mentioned that as well. And can I just say, it's so well spoken from you, from what you just said. It is a new generation, and we need to utilize social media for all sorts of different prospects, to help society today, and that's why I've started Sharkwatch. I will say that, look, I mean, over the years, I've also, it's been a mixed set of emotions for me with my relationship with the media. I can't help but thank them for promoting Sharkwatch for a couple of stories in the past few years, and really getting Sharkwatch out there, and the message that we're trying to protect beachgoers. But at the same time, I can't help but feel angered every time I see a news report about sharks, because it's just so wrong. It's always worded in the wrong format. I mean, it's all about selling a headline, and it's completely changing people's perceptions for the wrong. And I feel so passionately about delivering the right message about sharks. I mean, yes, they're wild animals. They're so dangerous to humans, but at the same time, statistically, the chances of being attacked by a shark are so rare, considering there are millions of people who enter the water every year. Here in South Australia, there are so many sharks patrolling the coastline every single day that you don't hear about on Sharkwatch, because no one's there to see them. And all of a sudden, we've got drones in the air. There are aerial patrols. There are people in boats looking out for them. And then add in another element, that there's now an outlet of information to report on shark sightings. And what people need to take out of this now is that there's so many shark sightings, but still the shark attacks and the shark, or I should rather call them the fatal and the non-fatal incidents where humans are getting injured with sharks, still remains so incredibly low. So I think we need to take that into perspective and realize that Sharkwatch is there to be utilized to stay away from sharks. But at the same time, we need to respect their presence and respect what they're bringing to the ocean's ecosystems.
Yeah, and at WCFF, I know Christopher that runs this organization is most passionate about obviously informing education and conservation and the power of film, the power of you getting your voice out here. And like you said, whether it's through social media or through the news outlets, getting people to hear your organization, getting them to join and follow you. So if people do not know about Shark Watch, what's the best way they can support your organization? How can they find you?
So the best way is to Facebook Shark Watch South Australia, and also on across Instagram. We now have Snapchat, um, Twitter, and YouTube. It's by the username Shark Alert SA. That's just one word, Shark Alert SA. If they can just type that in, it's so easy to find, and it'll pop up straight away as Shark Watch South Australia. Please feel free to send me an email at sharkalertsa@gmail.com, and also across any of the social media channels apart from Facebook, because I was actually I was removed as an administrator from the Facebook page, which is still somehow operating, which is a miracle, because it's got the most followers on there. Just send me in, just direct message me, and I'll be the person who will be answering. And I'll just love to hear from you. Give me whatever feedback you possibly can. Don't hesitate to get in touch with me, because it's ultimately going to change the course of the organization in a positive way.
Now, is there anything we didn't touch on, anything that you want to just let people know about your organization or mention before we go? I know you're a busy guy, you're taking time to do this, and you're on such a different time schedule, but also running a business, school full time. It's a lot to take on. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
No worries at all. I guess I'd just like to send my my thanks and my kind regards to Chris for actually letting me come on this organization and speak about Shark Watch. I think that, that means a lot for me. It's another step forward. Every year there's new progress, and it just goes to show that this isn't going anywhere. It's not going away. It's just moving towards something greater. And look, I mean, I guess there's a negative and a positive to what I'm doing. I wouldn't like to see Shark Watch as something that's there to ease the minds of frightened beachgoers. I'm actually there to change their perception as a whole and make them realize that humans and sharks in one way or the other can coexist, but obviously with that distance between us, we need to definitely respect them, and yeah, that's all I have to say, really.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's so impressive everything you're doing, and I can't wait to see even, a year from now, 5 years from now, kind of where you go and what happens when you're coming out and you're doing a little more of the ecotourism stuff, but also just as Asian grows and grows and grows, kind of which directions you go in. I think that's going to be pretty cool. But you've started at such a young age, something so powerful and incredible. So it's such an honor to have you here talking about it. And thank you for doing what you do. I think sometimes people get fearful of starting something new. And if you wouldn't have started this when you were in the 12th grade, it wouldn't be here. And so having that, I don't know if it's tenacity or just the believing in yourself to put yourself out there like that. Thanks for doing that, because it's going to help so many people.
No worries at all. And it's funny you mentioned that, because I just have to say, when I did start Shark Watch, I had two girls laugh at me in my class, which look, they were probably in their right mind to do so, because it was something that was unique and different. But that's what makes Shark Watch so unique. That's what makes Shark Watch so great, because it's unique and different, and it's a part of me. So if you can find it in yourself, all other students out there who are stuck, if you have something that you are passionate about and you feel that could benefit the community, then please just don't hesitate to start something, because it will turn to fire when you really love something. The friction will just take off, and you will benefit so greatly.
Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us tonight. But I think that it's so important for people to hear that, especially of COVID. I know a lot of people are, whether it's depression or anxiety, but people are having issues that are keeping them from making art and making new projects. And I think you're such an entrepreneur, and having just being so well spoken as far as inspiring others to go after what they want. Because sometimes, if you are that creative and that motivational, such a great entrepreneur, you're going to have ideas that people are going to laugh at, because they are ideas that haven't been done, and they're ideas we need. So I think it's so, so huge for you to inspire other people. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking your time out.
I know it's morning there. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Lovely to speak with you.
Okay, thanks so much. Bye, Anton. Thank you.